Creating mentoring programs can be challenging inside of organizations. In fact, I know several employees inside of organizations who, although are not senior, are still trying to get across their own mentoring programs and launch them themselves inside the company. And typically they do this by trying to galvanize support, by talking to other employees in the organization, finding out if people want that kind of a program, and then kind of informally putting things together on their own. And the idea is that eventually the organization, the corporate side of the organization, the executives, the managers, the HR team will find out about that and will want to adopt that program and make it more formal, something that can be scaled and rolled out across the organization. But don't get discouraged even if you're not in that senior or executive role. You can still start putting the seeds for these types of programs in place. Michael Jacob is the general manager for Microsoft Norway, and he is mentored by somebody nearly 2 decades younger than he is. And I want to quickly read you a quote from him that talks about the reverse mentoring program and his experience. And again, I'm going to read this here because it's a little bit of a longer quote and I didn't want to misinterpret it or say things incorrectly. And so what he said is that reverse mentoring helps me get insight into the next generation, who they are, what they value, and how to communicate with them. And then he went on to say, I have never experienced anything like this before in my career. And we see these types of positive reflections, these types of positive statements from executives and from younger employees inside of organizations as well. In fact, in doing research for my book on employee experience, one of the things that I found employees care about most at work as far as corporate culture goes is being a part of an organization where that coaching and mentoring relationship actually exists. So it's really crucial to make sure that your organization is able to implement something like this. This type of a program isn't just good for getting different generations to work together. It's just good, solid business sense, right? Think about it. These are people who are shaping your business, who are coming up with products, who are servicing your customers. And so you want those different perspectives, those different ideas coming together to solve problems for you, to unlock opportunities for you. So by creating these types of mentoring and reverse mentoring programs, you're in essence helping future-proof your organization. If you want to start this kind of a program, here are a couple steps that you can start to implement to get this program off the ground, so to speak. The first thing that you're going to want to consider is just kind of the outline for what this program is going to look like. So what is the program about? Who's going to be participating? How often are these people going to be meeting together? Is it for the entire company? Is it for a particular region? So sit down and ask yourself some of these very high-level questions of just what is the program about and what is it going to look like? How are you going to structure it? The next thing that you should do, if you can, is to try to get buy-in from members of your team. So if you're an executive, you can probably launch this program yourself. But if you are more of an entry or mid-level employee, you might need to get some sort of participation or approval from senior management. And so that step 1 process of really formalizing it and thinking it through is going to be crucial. Once you have that in place, go present it to people, socialize it internally, get some feedback on it, find out if people are going to be interested in it, and just introduce this concept and this idea to see what kind of feedback you get. Are you going to get objections? And if so, why are you getting those objections and how can you address them? Maybe everybody will love it and say, great, let's do this tomorrow. If so, clearly a win for you and you can get going with it. But that second step is to really make sure you introduce and socialize this program. The next step is actually pairing people together. So now that you have an idea of what this coaching and mentoring program is going to look like, who are you going to pair together? And of course, that will depend on the people who volunteer. But as people volunteer, you can know a little bit about them, the strengths that they have, the skills that they have, what they're struggling with. And when you have all of that information, you will be able to pair those people together. So be prepared to be a little bit of a matchmaker for a time period. And eventually, what some organizations have done is use AI, use technology to facilitate these types of coaching and mentoring programs, but that is much farther down the road after you get a lot of buy-in and support, and this program is already in full swing. The last thing that you might want to do is provide some sort of training, some sort of guidelines for the mentees, for the mentors, on what you want that relationship to look like. Maybe questions for people to think about, how you can organize these things, how often they should meet. Again, these don't need to be specific rules, but provide some high-level guidelines or suggestions on what this kind of a relationship might look like. The last step that you should do is to collect feedback from this process. So after this relationship starts, make sure that you check in with both the mentees and the mentors. Find out what's working, what's not working, what can be improved upon. And you keep iterating and making sure that this relationship, that these types of programs become more successful and that everybody starts to enjoy them. If you're successfully able to implement this kind of a mentoring and reverse mentoring program, you will find that not only you, but your entire organization will be one step closer to mastering working with multiple generations at work. And again, these types of programs don't need to be segmented necessarily based on age. That's what we've talked about here, but you can segment them based on skills as well. The point is, again, to get employees from different backgrounds, different ages, to start working and communicating and collaborating together, building those relationships. And again, this is going to be crucial for the success of your organization, and it will make you and all of your employees much more valuable inside of your company. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Have you been implementing these types of programs? Have you seen other programs work inside of your company or inside of another organization? I always love to hear these stories. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next and final video in this training series.